Hmm. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aesthetic Marketing Partners webinar today. We're going to cover the new SEO formula for aesthetic practices. My name is Sam Sylvie. I'm the founder of Aesthetic Marketing Partners, and I'll be hopefully guiding you through this webinar that I consider a four-letter word. I know it's actually a three-letter word, but has such a negative connotation associated with SEO. And to be honest, rightfully so. We've experienced a lot of it as an agency over the last 11 and a half years. I've been doing this for a long time myself, since 2007, technically as a computer programmer. And this is always one that is challenging for people to trust, to understand, always a hard one to sell. However, it has tons of value and a lot of importance for growing your practice. So hopefully today I can help shed some light on certain techniques, maybe tips and tricks for SEO, and how you could take those to your practice, help get more patients, increase your revenue, and yeah, have a better practice because of it. So let's jump in. So what we will cover today. So like always, Google is updating their algorithm. This is constant. We're going to go over the new algorithm, which has a really fun acronym, and they took a fun acronym and made it even more fun. We'll cover that later. We will also talk about some things that you may have put into place in the past that were good at the time, but might be hurting you now. Hell, we've even done that as an agency in the past, doing things that used to work back then, like just going out and buying tons of backlinks from all these BS sites that really have no value. That no longer works. So we'll discuss some of that, what works and what doesn't work, and then how to optimize your digital presence for using the new SEO formula. So who am I and why should you listen to me? This is always a tough one. This is probably my least favorite slide in the whole deck. So I've personally worked in every part of marketing advertising since 2007. I've owned 3 agencies at this point. 2 are still going. The first one was a good learning experience. Hell, they're all good learning experiences, to be honest. But started as a computer scientist. Actually, I slept on the couch in my office the first 6 months when I built out my first agency, until I got it moving, and then of course moved out of the office. I no longer live in the office, so don't worry about that. But I've worked as a computer scientist, programming, shot TV commercials, designed, done the SEO part, Google certified, pay-per-click, social media advertising. We've had great success, viral campaigns over the years. Done a little bit of everything. I felt it was important to learn a little bit of everything for my hiring process to make sure the quality control for my companies was there, and I didn't have to just trust someone else. Maybe I'm a little bit of a control freak, who knows, but I've founded, owned multiple award-winning marketing advertising agencies since 2012. Technically it's 2007, but I don't really like remembering those years. So I'm going to say to 2012, since those agencies are still going. I do have a generalist agency, which is more of a regional agency called Spectrus. I worked with all kinds of clients. And from that, just to be completely transparent, I've picked during COVID my best and favorite clients to work with. And it was you guys. It was plastic cosmetic surgery, dermatologists, med spas. The reason I couple those 4 together is because a lot of those services cross over, usually because of seasonality. So evasive procedures and plastic and cosmetic surgery tend to really trend during the wintertime, the non-bikini season. And then when you get into the bikini season, it's going to be more of like your lasers, facials, that sort of stuff, Botox, fillers. So that's why we couple those together. But from COVID, I picked our favorite ones. It was you guys, and I've now started Aesthetic Marketing Partners. In the last year, we've been growing this, focusing on one niche across the country and having a lot of success. I've personally made tens of millions of dollars for our clients across the country over the years. That's obviously our main purpose, is to make you all money as an agency. Everything else is just kind of frivolous. If it's not providing an ROI, you should be paying for it. We have proven results, growing practices just like yours. All right, past that slide. So this is what we do. We have specifically built a set of services that are proven to grow plastic and cosmetic surgery practices, medical spas, and dermatology practices. Today, we're going to talk about SEO. I don't want you to think that's all we do, nor do I want you to think that that's the only thing that matters. It is one of many pieces of the puzzle. Now, from this diagram, it's kind of a quick overview, and there's even more than this. I mean, we could spend years talking about all the various forms of marketing advertising. But now in the digital era, your website is definitely the core of it. That needs to be optimized. And actually, our last webinar, if you weren't present for it, you can go back and watch it. It's about how to optimize your website for conversions. That is definitely something that is worth a ton of investment, because that is your main central point of conversions. Very few people pick up the phone and call anymore. It's all submitting leads to your website, chat widget, something like that. Today, however, when we're focused on SEO, it is a very important part, and it is a long-term investment. It's something that if you haven't already started working on it, you need to now, because it takes a while for all of us to kick in. Hopefully today, however, we'll show you some, especially around the Google business profile, some tips and tricks that you could actually put into place today and actually see a result way quicker than the typical SEO as far as syndication and link building and signals and all that. We'll get into it more. Excuse me. So does SEO still matter? Well, this is a quick Google search, just Chattanooga cosmetic surgery. I'm based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. You see at the top, you have your sponsored content. Then you go into your Google Places or your Google Map Pack, Local Pack. There's multiple names for it. And then into organic results. 71% of clicks actually come from the Google Map Pack or Local Pack and organic. So you're probably thinking, well, hell, all we do is really focus on PPC, which is not a bad thing to have. You need PPC. In fact, a lot of our strategy is split between PPC for short-term results and buying keywords around campaigns you're focused on right now. But the long-term and the ultimate goal is you want to be in this map pack at all times in any of your service areas, and you want to have as high of possible return organically for your industry in your local area. 67% on the first 5 listings get the click and get the business. So it's very important to be at the top of the list. You get into some of these larger cities, you start looking for, especially like med spas, but there'll be sometimes 50 plus of them in a city. So very important to be in that top 5. So short answer is yes, SEO still matters. You can't rely on pay-per-click alone. You still need both. And there's times to have both. And I would suggest having both all the time, depending on your budget, but you can't rely on PPC alone. So let's jump into this new SEO formula, give you kind of an overview, and then we'll break down some of the more important areas. And if you have any questions, by the way, I kind of skipped that part. Actually I prefer interaction, but some of these webinars, they don't really give you the ability to do that. You can actually ask any questions though down the bottom, and Mackenzie, my project manager, hop on, answer the questions or alert me, and I can answer them along the way as well. So feel free to ask any questions you may have. So in this new SEO formula, we want to figure out what the most important keywords are based on your service area, and search volume. There's tools that you can do this yourself. So Google Keyword Tool, Google AdWords, WordStream, SpyFu, there's more out there, of course. They will give you suggestions on what's trending right now based on the type of industry you're in, whether it's plastic or cosmetic or med spa or dermatology. Each one's going to have a different type of keyword, and also based on what you've invested in, whether it's certain types of lasers or machines, or if you have a specialty, facelifts versus breast dogs versus IPL, microneedling, whatever it may be. You need to figure out which ones you want to sell the most of, and then how those keywords will be in conjunction with your services in your service area, so they return the highest for someone looking for your service. You want to set up a great website with unique pages targeting those keywords. We'll dive into this a little more later as well, but basically the short of it is you want a page for, say you have IPL service you really want to push. You're going to have IPL, have it in the metadata, have it in the meta description. These are going to be more on the programming side. So these aren't descriptions or titles that someone will see. You can see the meta title actually if you're in a web browser at the top, you have a tab open, you'll see, I don't know, plastic surgery / Chattanooga, Tennessee / name of the practice. That's actually the meta title, but you don't see it on the page itself. These are more programming cues to the search engines. So then they pull that information, and whenever someone types in Chattanooga, Tennessee plastic surgery, that will be what they see in that Google listing or Bing listing or Yahoo listing. So having these keywords with the pages all matching. If you have a page for IPL, not only does the meta title, meta description need to say IPL in your target area, but also the content on that page. We'll dive into a little more as far as like H1s, different title tags, that sort of stuff that Google looks for. But that's kind of a general overview. Want to optimize your website for user experience. Now, by user experience, you really mean more of like the design is one way to think of it. However, mobile has thrown in a whole nother element to that because it's more than just design as far as colors. Colors are part of that. It's more on the brand and design side. The user experience side is going to be more when they land on this, say someone's looking for a service that you have. How do they get to it? What's the quickest way for them to get to that point of conversion or learn the information that's necessary for them to trust you and then go through with a phone call, a chat widget, email, whatever it may be. Your user experience really has a lot to do with that, especially on mobile phone. 62% of consumers are now buying, shopping, researching on their mobile device. So if your website isn't optimized for user experience for a mobile device or a tablet, you're really going to be losing optimization there. And the search engines realize that too. In fact, one of the tools that we use for our reports for potential clients, also for our clients to keep track of how we're performing for them, is one of our tools will crawl all of this. So what's the mobile user experience look like? And it gives you a rating. Very important thing to have optimized on your website. You want to build authority. So this off-site optimization, as they call it, that is all about having higher domain authority websites. So high domain authority is going to be a search engine looking at other websites and seeing how often people look at their website, how long they stay on there, how often do they update their content. Typically, the highest domain authority websites are going to be those that are like news sites. So the more that you can have news sites linked back to your site, because they're always evolving content, people are always visiting them and spending lots of time on their site. The more links you build from higher domain authority sites back to your site, the better domain authority your site will have as well. We want to optimize your Google business profile. Now, back like 5 years ago, this wasn't really that big of a deal. I mean, you basically got your Google business profile, you put it up there, you're done. And you went and focused on PPC and some organic SEO and blah, blah, blah. But Google business profile has become extremely important. Like we saw from that local map pack, because that is actually affiliated with Google business profile. 71% are on that map pack or the top organic results. So if you can get a really optimized Google business profile, and we'll go through this a little bit later as well, that is going to help you return in that map pack and get that top 71%. We want to gather more reviews and engage with them. Now, this is something that's been around for a while. It's still very valuable. It's something you have to do. We get a lot of pushback over the years about this, and more people are becoming accepting of it. Usually the things I hear are like, well, I don't want to incentivize someone to leave a bad review by texting or emailing them to leave us a review. What if they had a bad experience? I'd rather them just forget about us. Reality of it is, majority of consumers, if they have a great experience, they're going to walk out of your practice and be like, man, that was great. Maybe they tell their friend over lunch or dinner or something like that, but no one ever knows about it. They don't think typically to say, hey, I'm going to go to Google or Yelp or Facebook and leave them a review. So you need to have some sort of reminder for those people to leave positive reviews. And yeah, you might get some negative reviews because as well, but typically most reviews, if they're not requested, are the people that had a bad experience because they had a bad day, or maybe one of your staff had a bad day. It could be completely innocent. But those are the ones that want to leave your practice and go leave a scalding review about your practice. So it's better to request reviews and get more reviews for your practice. And then once they leave them, engage with them. And don't be scared to engage with the ones that are negative. There can be a way to address that make you look like a very responsible, mature, professional with high level of customer service practice by saying, hey, we hate to hear you had a bad experience. We'd love to make it up to you. Please give us a call or give us a phone number. We'll call you and love to work through this and figure out the best way to keep you as a customer. So engagement, and that's public as well. You can see that on Google. That's going to help, other potential patients have more confidence in you. So if you haven't already, you can download the SEO checklist. We have links to this on our site. Should have a link. Mackenzie will drop into a chat here in a little while. This is something that is free. It can be for yourself or for a team member or for your own internal marketing person. Give them this checklist. It's kind of the overview of what you need to be doing to get SEO working for your practice. I think it's time for a drink of water. So one thing we talked about in the last slide was the keywords. And there's multiple keywords, obviously, for what's trending. And you'll see the city name plus the actual service. Now, we split these up between plastic surgery and then kind of med spa dermatology. And I hate to couple them all together. In fact, plastics and cosmetic surgery getting coupled together. We have battles about this all the time. I shouldn't say battles. That's extreme. I'm exaggerating there. We have interactions about the difference between plastic surgery and cosmetic surgery. And there are, as far as board certifications and of course, med spa and dermatology. But typically these are some of the overview top trending search terms, and you'll see the city name before it. Why we put the city name in there, that's important, not as much for Google PPC, unless you have, because you can set that in the settings when you're buying Google pay-per-click ads. This is more for when you're building out those meta title, meta descriptions, and thinking through what content you want to be on your page on your website and how Google's going to see that and how it will return in search engines organically. So plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, having your city name before it is going to help. Ideally, it'd be like Chattanooga, Tennessee dash plastic surgery dash the practice name. That would be the meta title on the page. Excuse me. Then on your H1 tag, that's going to be like, say there's the header at the top, and you have some sort of banner image or video, whatever it may be, and you have Chattanooga's premier plastic surgery. You have to be careful what you say there for plastic surgery board certifications. You can't say the best and those sort of things. That's going to be H1 title. Then Chattanooga, Tennessee could be H2 under it. Those sort of, programmatic, of course, the customer or the patient's not going to see H1, H2. This is more on the programming side and how the search engine crawls that page. You want to keep those keywords in mind and have them match the services that you're wanting to sell. So if you're focused on chemical peels and you're selling a chemical peel product, you have a page for Chattanooga, Tennessee, chemical peels, your business name, and the top of the page needs to be all about we are the best chemical peel practice in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then, of course, the content keeps going from there. Request a consultation, request a meeting, and whatever your call to action is for that. Much better. So on-site optimization. You can see as this presentation went on, by the way, I obviously got kind of bored as I was building it because this is all the stuff I talk about and do all the time. So I had to spice it up a little bit, and I put some fun little build in. I think it's fun. So they get a little more dramatic as we go. It's a strong website with good content and user experience. This is kind of touching on earlier, we mentioned things you may have done in the past that used to work, they don't anymore. Before, you used to load up all kinds of keywords, and typically you'd see them in the footer. Hell, a lot of times we used to do the same color of the background, so that way the people didn't see it, and it would just be text on text on text on text. It'd be white text on a white background and have all these keywords. Well, of course, since then, Google, Bing, Yahoo, all the search engines have become smarter, and you can't do that. It doesn't really have an effect. You can do it, it's just not going to affect. So you need quality user experience where people are staying on your site, engaging with it. And you need to, of course, have the SEO we've discussed as far as H1, H2, H3 tags, having your main important content and keywords structured correctly. This is also a good time to discuss multimedia content. Now, this can be something that a lot of people, a lot of practices don't want to spend the time together, but it's definitely worth having someone in-house to be able to film quick videos. Those quick videos are not only great for social media like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it may be. It's also great to have on your pages to give the potential patient something to watch. It slows down their time on the page. The more page time that each potential patient spends on your site, the higher your site ranks for SEO, because the search engines realize they're engaging more with your content. We want pages for each of your services. So every machine you have, every service you perform, they need to have pages for every one of those with good content written, organized. Again, good H1, H2, H3 titles, tags, a conversion point on there so you can see which service is actually converting. Not only is that important for SEO, it's very important for PPC as well. If you're running Google pay-per-click ads, you can, of course, maximize clicks. You can maximize conversions, and there's others, but those are the main two leading ones. You need a conversion point in every service page, so that way you can better target your PPC ads as well as your SEO. That build-in was pretty great. Pages for the cities that you serve. Now, this isn't as important for Chattanooga. We're about 385,000 people here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we have some suburb areas like East Brainerd, Ottawa, Cleveland, Tennessee. That's about 35 miles out. That could be worth putting pages for med spas, plastic surgery, that sort of thing. Or further south of us, Dalton, Georgia, which is about 40 miles out. And we've done that for practices here in town, and it's definitely helped. It's, if you're in a smaller city in Chattanooga, it may not be worth doing this. You can still do it. There's not that much labor associated with it. But the idea is if someone's in Dalton, Georgia, 40 miles out of Chattanooga, and they search for med spa near me or IPL near me or whatever it may be, you want your practice to return high. And having a page on their site with Dalton, Georgia med spa or Dalton, Georgia cosmetic surgery, whatever it may be, that is going to queue up Google and let them know that you actually perform services in this area. Plus, there's additional tricks that you can do as well. We'll talk about more later to help Google realize that you actually perform services in that city. Now, if you're in somewhere like Atlanta that has, a DMA in Google of like 9 million people, like Alpharetta, that definitely needs its own page. East Cobb needs its own page. Midtown needs its own page. Downtown Atlanta, like all of those could have their own page. The main reason for that is you can separate your content out. All the content needs to be unique. And actually, it's the next one. All the content needs to be unique for that page. So if you're writing a page about Alpharetta, it needs to have ideally, if the images could be different on that page, the content itself, the H1 title of the page needs to be different. That's going to help Google and other search engines see that and know that this is a unique page and it's not just spam content. This is something I've already touched on, but keywords in the title and H1. So the title of the page, that's typically going to be the largest font. And that's kind of the easiest way to think about it. Is H1 is going to be the largest font on your website. H2 is a little bit smaller, H3 is smaller, H4. I mean, you go to paragraph font, which is all of your content writing in, say, a blog or article, whatever it may be. Typically, they go from largest to smallest. It doesn't have to be. A programmer can change that to whatever they want, but it's usually about importance from the search engine matches importance from the SEO side or the user engagement side as well. So meta descriptions that sell the clicks. We've already discussed this as well, but to dive into it a little more, these meta descriptions are not something that a potential patient's going to see on the site. They're going to see this in Google, Bing, Yahoo, when these search engines are giving them a description of the service that they might be interested in. So if it's IPL, it's going to talk all about like, we have the leading machines for IPL that are guaranteed to blah, 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 blah. Want to write a description in that meta description that's going to help sell and get that click in the organic side of the search engines. This is a very easy thing to do that most don't, but name, address, phone number in the footer of every page can help dramatically. It's more on the citation development side and some of the schema markup that gets submitted to the search engines, but this is very easy to do and something definitely worth doing on every page of the site. Then blog with ongoing updates and syndication. We're going to dive into this more later as well. We could have a whole webinar just on the blogs and the syndication process, to be honest. Pretty much every one of these in this page could have a webinar for every one of them. But you want to originate content in your website in a form of a blog, typically. And you want to have a frequency, like for our clients, we do 2 to 4 articles, depending on where they are in their life cycle and how many they've had. If they're just now getting started with blogs, we might do 4 for the first 6 months and then go to 2. 2 is typically the sweet spot. We'll write 2 articles per month. Of those 2 articles, we take them and then put press releases together through our syndication engine. I don't want to tell you which one it is, to be honest. It's a secret of mine. There's others out there like PR Newswire. That's still a great one, but we have a new one that we like to keep secret for our clients that does a really good job of sending out and syndicating this content through a press release. And it will go out to all different types of ABC, NBC, Fox News, whatever it may be, and link back to your website. That's going to help give Google signals, which we'll discuss here a little bit further as well. Linking back to your site and help build that domain authority. Finally, and this is another big one, we want to focus on page speed for desktop and mobile. So desktop's pretty easy to get a 100. There's a bunch of free tools out there for this. Actually, Google Page Speed Developer has a free scan tool. You can just go to Google and Google Page Speed Test. It'll scan your website. We also do this in all of our free local SEO reports as well for our potential patients or potential clients. Sorry. You really want the mobile side to be high though. And that's one of the more important values because 60+% of consumers are now shopping and researching, making decisions on mobile devices. You want your page speed for mobile to be at least 85 or above. It's hard to get perfect 100, especially if you have a lot of multimedia. So if you have videos on there, a lot of before and after photos, that sort of thing, it can be hard to do that, but there's a lot of tricks around it as far as using next-gen photo optimization with WebP images, all this kind of nerdy programming stuff. It can be possible. There's also a tool out there called Cloudflare. We discussed this in our last webinar as well about optimizing the website. All that said, we could dive into a whole webinar just on this, but it's important to have either someone in your team or whoever you're working with, if you are working with the agency, make sure that you're optimized for page speed on desktop and mobile. Another drink time. Hold on. So off-page SEO. Claim and optimize Google My Business listing. This is another one that could have a whole webinar behind it. But the short of it is you, of course, want to have a Google My Business listing, but then you want to optimize that business listing. The main areas you want to focus on, and this stuff's kind of new for Google Business listing. You can have, of course, a service area where your business is, but then you can go into the setup of Google Business listing and add additional service areas. Definitely something I recommend doing, especially if you're in a larger city. Add those service areas that are within driving distance to your practice. That's going to help your business return higher in that local map pack. You also want to have additional services, if you offer them, listed in your services in Google My Business. So you have your main category, which is going to be, plastic, cosmetic surgery, med spa, dermatology, but then you can have other services as well added into the back end of your Google Business listing. These services could be med spa, different spa, there's like day spa, med spa, massages, whatever it may be. Like some people offer additional services. From the data, actually, I just read from Bright Local the other day, that best performing Google Business listing within the spa realm, they didn't have a report for plastic, cosmetic, or derm at the time, but for the spa realm was 4.2 services per listing, got the most amount of clicks. So if you can come up with 4 services that you actually sell and add those in Google Business listing, that's going to help you return higher in that map pack area. I couldn't see any penalties from having more. In my generalist agency, Inspectress, we have some clients that do a lot of services in their businesses and other industries, and they'll just list tons of them. Sometimes that can get you too spread thin. I haven't found any penalties yet as far as data we've seen, but I would put your most important top 4, top 5, focus on that. That's going to help you return for the services you really want to sell. Get lots of citations, lots and lots and lots and lots of citations across the web. For our clients, we do a minimum of 100. And depending if I have any setup, we'll do more than that. Any setup before we start, we'll do more than that. There's about 15 to 30 main citations you need to have. And that's going to include Google, Bing, Yahoo, Yelp, Yellow Pages, Facebook, Better Business Bureau, and those have more weight. That weight is associated with domain authority. I've already kind of dropped that word or those words here during this webinar, but domain authority is about how high Google, Bing, Yahoo sees that site as far as trust and their new algorithm. So if you can have a site like Facebook linking back to your site, follow the correct business details, and their business phone number, address, name, service category matches Google Business Profile and matches Better Business Bureau profile and your website schema markup, that's going to help build higher trust to the search engines and return your website higher. So the more citations you can have linking back to your business and to your website, the better your site's going to return. We've talked about this as well, but for off-page SEO, gathering online reviews and leveraging ideally some sort of review management tool. You can do this manually. We offer this as well for our clients. So our custom CRM that we've built, to be HIPAA compliant. We can, as soon as a customer checks out, they click send a review, request a review, text message, email, so on. You can also use platforms like Podium, Birdeye, Review Buzz. They can do this for you as well. Definitely something that you need to be doing every day. Finally, strategic content distribution. This is referring to the syndication I've discussed. So ideally having sites like ABC, NBC, and this doesn't have to be like the main ABC, NBC that you watch on national news. There's local chapters of it for each city that you can easily share press releases to, either using a syndication engine like PR Newswire or like the one that we use in-house that I don't want to tell anyone about our secret that we use. Out the press release for you and build that connection back to your blog. And there's also a lot more that goes into it. And again, this is a whole nother topic we could spend a whole webinar on. But whenever we write the press release for an article on our client's website and we submit that press release out, we're actually tagging the map from Google we're tagging the article itself. We might put a recent review screenshot and tag that with the meta title, meta description of that screenshot back to the name of the company. We'll even take on Google Business Profile. You may have already seen this. Most of you probably already know this, but in Google Business Profile, you have a blog area that sits at the very bottom. You can go in there and post updates. So all the blogs we write, we post those blogs also on Google Business Listing. And you can actually right click on one of those images in the Google Business Listing blog section, grab the image URL, share that to the press release. Then when that press release goes out, you now have all these signals marking back to your website, to your Google Business Profile, and building this web of trust basically for Google. Having that strategic content distribution on a monthly basis is an absolute must for building organic SEO. It's one of the best ways to get a quick result from SEO. The old way of writing blogs just doesn't work anymore. You can't just write a blog and leave it and hope that something crawls it. You have to have strategic content distribution. Yeah, well, I got ahead of myself. A simple blog post on your website won't cut it anymore. And that's what I mean by that. You have to have distribution and syndication of that content back to your website with strategy and all the links in this web you're building of links to your business. Just writing a blog post and leaving it there is not going to cut it anymore. So introducing the new authority signal generation approach. It's going to get into that acronym that Google has come up with. So the new Google algorithm in 2020, they came out with EAT, EAT. Then in 2022 December, so just 7 months ago, they came out with double EAT. In fact, EAT or double EAT is a concept used by human quality raters to evaluate Google search ranking systems. Originally, it consisted of only 3 factors, EAT, which is expertise, authority, and trust. But in December 2022, Google added the criteria for experience to the concept. So let's jump into this and break it down a little bit. And this is more theoretical. So, I don't expect anyone here to take what we're about to talk about in this slide and it's going to blow their mind and change their world. This is more understanding how the search engine and what SEO really is and how ideally you can satisfy the hunger for EAT. That's so cheesy. Yeah, that was pretty cheesy. So experience. We have a slide after this that breaks down and describes it probably better than I can verbally, but experience is going to be showing evidence of personal experience with the subject matter. This is something that we actually have to do on our sites as well. So if you've been to Aesthetic Marketing Partners or to my other agency, Spectrus, we don't really have a team page. And a lot of that, just to be transparent, was we constantly have team members always changing, and marketing advertising industry is highly volatile and the turnover's a lot. So keeping it updated was kind of a pain. But I also want to seem larger than we are. Right now we're sitting around 10 people working for us. And for a lot of people, that's not big enough to handle their workload. However, what it's costing us now is we're rolling out our team page here in the next 30 days for both those sites because of this update with the double EAT algorithm. Is you need to have a page, and ideally it can be an authorship page. So as we produce our own content, or as you produce your own content for your practice website, there's going to be an author of that. If you use a CM or content management system like WordPress, even Drupal, Joomla, one of those, Squarespace, Wix, they're going to have this same sort of setup to where you can have an author. And that author is going to be someone that you can have an avatar image, links to social media. You can have a short bio of, Sam Sylvie started learning about marketing and advertising in 2003, with computer science background. In 2007, he started his own blah, 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 blah. He's been spoken here and won these many Addy Awards, all this stuff. It's not only a user experience or a user logic thing. Search engines are actually crawling for this now and looking at that experience and making sure that the person writing the article or the person behind the business has the experience to really earn that trust, which is very close to expertise. Expertise is going to be more about, for plastic cosmetic surgery or med spas and derm, it's going to be what board certification do you have? How far did you go in college? Are you a RN, an NP, a PA, plastic surgeon, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, whatever it may be? This sort of expertise helps, but it's a little bit different than experience. And this next slide will kind of break that down a little more. I'm an authority. Authority is going to be more about the syndication that I've discussed early on. So published on ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC, and this can be local chapters. It doesn't have to be the national news because getting on those is obviously harder, but just having some sort of PR engine that syndicates this content, sends it out, links back to your site is going to help build that authority. Ideally, it needs to come from higher domain authority websites linking back to your website. Man, that was really cool build-in. Finally, trust. So trust is actually encompassing all three of these. And I'm just going to go ahead and skip to the next page because this describes it better. So trust is at the top of the pyramid, and the experience, expertise, and authority is actually what sets trust. That's what builds and holds up trust. So how you rank for experience, expertise, and authority is going to build your trustworthiness, which then Google, Bing, Yahoo, and the search engines are going to return your website higher because they see you more trustworthy. On the selfish side, Google wants to make sure that someone feels trustworthy of Google to say, I want to find someone for my plastic surgery procedure. I'm going to type in plastic surgery, Panama City or Miami, and I want to see the best company there. And then they go through Google, they find these companies and they're like, wow, that was the best one. Google wants to keep your business. So they want to find the most trustworthy websites they can to return highest in their search engine. So their customers keep coming back to Google. Now, the experience versus expertise, you can see from this diagram, which personally, I love the little formula car here. It's great. Experienced driver is 10 years of driving experience. It's not necessarily the same as expert driver. It's won multiple races and professionally trained. However, expert driver may not have 10 years of driving experience. They probably do, but there is some difference there. Telling that background story of we've had all this experience over the years building this med spa or this dermatology practice from the ground up. We are the experts and we also have experience versus, which is, this has to happen at some point. We just started our practice. We are experts because of our certifications, but you may not have the experience. You can help build that experience by more blog articles, more authority, and help offset that. You also have experience by the law, has 7 road fines in a year. That might or might not be me. And then expert in law, a lawyer. So obviously difference there. Both of them have experience. The person that's been arrested 7 times in a year for driving poorly probably understands the law pretty good about the errors they've made. However, they're not an attorney. So the SEO checklist. On-page SEO, we discussed, we need pages for each service, the main cities. We need to optimize those H1, H2, H3, the titles, the images as well. That was one thing I haven't really discussed. Each image on your site has the ability to have an alt image title, meta title, description on every image. That is very important because you can return in search engines for those images as well. You might have done an image search in the past. This can be great for before and afters, procedure images, bio images, your team member images. All of that needs to have your business name, location, and then whatever is in the image needs to be in that. And unique content for all pages. Back in the day, like I mentioned, we used to be able to just put the same content. So to save time, people might have put the same meta title, plastic surgery, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the practice name 30 times across every page on their website. Well, now that's seen as spam through search engines. So you don't want to do that. You want to have unique content, and actually you get penalized for duplicate meta titles, duplicate meta descriptions, or duplicate content on each page. Then ongoing content. You need to be pushing new blogs that are syndicated, mainly for signals, what you need to approach for versus the link building. Traditionally, link building was all about, as I mentioned before, you could just go out and blast. It'd be a lot of foreign companies that have all these people in a huge building. They build all of these fake websites, and you could just buy 500 link backs or 1,000 link backs. And they link back to your website from all these BS websites. That no longer works like it used to. Now you need to be on high domain authority websites, building signals across multiple assets from Google Business Profile to your website on a monthly basis. You need to have that going really from now until you decide that you want to sell your business or you're retired. Like that needs to go forever. Then the Google My Business or Google Business Profile. You need to claim and optimize maps, which we've discussed. Yext is a program I haven't mentioned yet, but you can add to Yext or some other citation management platform. There's multiple out there, but you can do that yourself. Yext is a good one, although as soon as you quit paying for it, it drops off. So there's some pros and cons to that. However, you can do instantaneous updates across all the platforms that they've submitted your information to. We work with Yext from time to time. We have another one that we primarily work with that does a better job, in my opinion. We work with them for our clients, of course. Add to major data aggregators. There's a lot of data aggregators out there that will push your content out even further. Definitely worth investment. Put systems in place for, like we talked about, driving online reviews and then new citations on an ongoing basis. So the signals leverage, we talked about double E, experience, expertise, authority, and trust. We'll have multiple do follow link backs to the client's website, your Google business listing, and internal pages on the client site, internal links as well. Multiple map embeds. We discussed about using a new feature. Actually, I mean, I've already said this. I know I said embedding a map, but majority of not all of them, for some reason, this is something new they just rolled out. Not every customer of ours has this ability yet, but they'll give a queue eventually, if you don't already, to add a map to your website in your Google Business Profile Manager. And you can click on that and it'll take you to set up a Google API. In that API, you can open an API for your website, put in your credentials, and then get a map embed. Set your criteria, grab that embed code, which is an iframe, and then drop that on your contact page at the very least. If you have multiple locations, that would be great to grab a map for each location and put that on every location page on your website. That's something that's new to Google. So that's telling us that that's going to be, the quicker that every company gets on this new bandwagon and adds that to their website, the higher they're going to return versus their competitors. And then fresh content on the site all the time. Every month, minimum of 2 articles. You can do more, but at least 2 articles. So as I mentioned, we do local SEO reports for potential clients of ours. We have a free 30-minute consultation. During that, we'll have a local SEO report. We go over rank tracker, local search grid, citation tracker, reputation manager, Google business profile audit, local search audit. The local search audit is a nice overview of all of those. Plus, it gives you some of that on-site SEO as far as page load speed, duplicate meta titles, duplicate meta descriptions, breaks down every page on your website and where there's opportunity. We'll analyze all this data, show you a pathway of how we can get you to better results for your practice, more patients booked per month, more revenue. And then, of course, whether you become a client of ours or not, you can have access to this every 30 days, automatically updates, and you can see how your business is doing. There's also a really cool tool called the local search grid. And since pretty much, every practice here, you're going to have a local search area. This shows how you return in an organic listing in Google. So like for this search term, it's for the doctor's name. They return great for that. Then we can obviously add other keywords such as breast dog or plastic surgery or cosmetic surgery, and then see how they return in there. And we can monitor the progress over that time. So all that said, if you haven't yet, download the SEO checklist. I believe, let me see here. Let me add that right now. There should be a text as well. All right, so I just added that. So download the SEO checklist. Yours free. Use it yourself. Give it to someone in your organization or to your current agency. Definitely worth checking those off the list and getting your site, Google business listing, all of that. More optimized. Love to talk with anyone that needs help on this. Of course, selfishly, I love to give away free help all the time. But whenever it comes a time that you need help, you just, in a lot of cases, there's too much work. You have tons of patients already, but you want to continue to grow. We'll love to talk with you and give you that free SEO report, free 30-minute consultation. There's no obligation. Text us at 423-375-4133 or email us at sam@aestheticmarketingpartners.com. I'll get back with you, schedule a time, and we can get things moving. Of course, you receive that free SEO report and visibility scan during that consultation as well. Do you see any questions, Mackenzie? All right. No questions. Either everyone's asleep because it's SEO, or I just did such a good job. No one has any questions. Well, either way, hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you can take some or all of this back to your practice, increase your revenue, get more patients, and you'll say, man, thanks, Sam Sylvie and Aesthetic Marketing Partners for getting us more patients. And if you ever need help, we'd love to help you. Please reach out, and happy to help however we can. Hope you all have a great week. Look forward to seeing you soon.